You wake before the sun, not because anyone shakes you awake, not because a priest calls out your name, but because the cold has already found you. It creeps into your bones long before your eyes open, slipping through the woven fibers of the mat beneath you and coiling around your ribs like a serpent that refuses to loosen its grip. You inhale, and the air tastes like stone dust and wet soil. It's the hour before dawn, when the sky is still bruised with deep violets and faint smears of fading starlight. The others in your household still sleep. Your cousin curled with a blanket pulled over his shoulders, your younger sister murmuring in her dreams, your mother already stirring, but not yet risen. You listen to the world waking up, not the warm, buzzing jungle of the lowlands that travelers sometimes describe, but the high, wind-bitten ridges of the Maya highlands. Here, the air snaps against your skin in the early mornings. The ground holds the nights chill like a memory. Mist drifts between the wooden posts of the house, rising like pale smoke. Today is a work day. You don't need anyone to tell you that. Your muscles know it. Your breath knows it. The pyramid, your pyramid, the one whose shadow you helped build stone by stone, waits for you in the valley below. You sit up, rubbing your arms, willing warmth to come back into them. Your mother hands you a small clay cup of warm atoll, steam drifting upward in soft, milky ribbons. You sip it slowly, letting the heat settle inside you, letting your hands thaw around the cup. You'll need your strength, she says, not as a warning, but as a truth that has been spoken so many times it no longer needs to be explained. Outside, the cold wind pushes against the house. You wrap your cloak tighter around your shoulders and step into the dawn. The village waits in a hush, mats being rolled, fires being coaxed to life. The smell of burning wood mixing with the sharp chill of the mountains. Every breath you exhale comes out white, and then you begin the walk, down the sloping path, past the terraces, past the stone markers carved with the names of ancestors you never met, but whose presence breathes through the land. Below you, the pyramid rises from the earth like a frozen wave of stone. The unfinished steps catch the early light, turning pale blue under the first thin rays of the day. You walk with the others, some older, some younger, some still half asleep, all of you bound by the same purpose: to lift, carve, shape, and position stones that will outlive all of you. Your feet crunch over the frost-kissed ground as you take your place among the workers. And for a moment, before the tools are raised and the chants of the overseers begin, you stand still and let the cold wind sweep across your face. A reminder, a promise, a quiet voice that says, this is where your day begins. The cold doesn't leave just because the sun rises. It lingers on your skin like a stubborn memory, clinging to the ridges of your fingers as you lift the first stone of the day. Even the tools feel chilled, as if they, too, woke reluctantly to the morning. You join the line of workers gathering at the base of the unfinished pyramid. From here, the structure looks almost alive, a great step giant, exhaling mist as the wind sweeps through its half-carved terraces. Each block of limestone glows faintly beneath the morning light, pale and ghost-like. Breath clouds rise from every worker around you, drifting upward and disappearing into the cold sky. Your hands already throb from yesterday's work, but you grip the rough twine anyway. The stone sled resists you. It always does. Even the smallest blocks feel like they carry the weight of the world. Pull, someone says behind you. You lean forward with your whole body, feet digging into the ground. The stone begins to slide, groaning against the earth. In the crisp air, the sound is sharp and raw. The others fall into rhythm with you, shoulders heaving, legs trembling, bodies leaning into the task. No one speaks much this early. The cold steals words before they fully form. Above, on the tiers of the pyramid, the overseers move like silhouettes etched in obsidian. Their voices echo down the slopes, firm and ritualistic, guiding the teams as though conducting an orchestra made of rope, stone, and human breath. You pause to catch your own. The cold bites at your lungs when you inhale too quickly, but you steady yourself and look up. The sun is finally rising, but up here in the highlands, sunrise doesn't mean warmth. It only means visibility. The shadows soften on the stones. The frost begins to melt, but the air remains sharp, cutting honest. Someone claps your shoulder. It's Chuck, your friend since childhood, bundled in a cloak woven by his grandmother. His cheeks are already flushed from effort. Day feels colder than usual, he mutters, blowing into his hands. It always feels colder. You answer. We just never get used to it. He laughs under his breath, a small cloud of warmth drifting from his lips. Then the two of you return to the task, hands gripping the ropes, steps bracing against the incline. Together you haul the stone upward, one slow heartbeat at a time. Around you, the world wakes further. The thump of wooden mallets, the rhythmic scrape of chisels on limestone, the low hum of workers chanting under their breath to keep pace. The distant flap of banners strung near the top tiers, snapping in the cold breeze. And everything blends together into a kind of cold morning symphony. You keep pulling until the block reaches the next platform, and when you finally release the rope, your palms burn like fire returning to frozen earth. But the moment of rest is short. There's always another stone. There's always another task. And above you, the pyramid stretches ever higher, as if challenging the sky itself. You wipe your forehead, glance at the rising sun, and prepare for the next lift. Because this is the life of a pyramid worker. Cold mornings, heavy stones, breath turning to frost, and the quiet, unspoken belief that each piece you lift carries meaning beyond your years. By the time the sun climbs higher, your back already feels like it has aged a decade. You straighten slowly, rolling your shoulders while the overseer marks the progress of each work crew. The sky above is a clear, pale blue, deceptively gentle. But despite the sunlight, the air remains cool, the kind of chill that never fully retreats, even at midday in the highlands. You kneel beside a half-shaped limestone block. Your breath comes out steady now, no longer trembling. You place one hand against the stone's surface. Cold, always cold, as though the earth itself refuses to warm too quickly. You pick up your chisel and mallet. Both tools bear the marks of your labor. Wooden handles rubbed smooth by your grip, obsidian edges chipped and sharpened again. You settle into your position, bending low, letting instinct take over. Tap, tap, tap. The obsidian blade bites into the limestone, sending small shards scattering around your knees. The sound becomes rhythmic, calming, almost meditative. In this moment, your mind drifts. You think about how the priests say this pyramid is meant to honor the gods who guide the stars. You think about how the builders like you are told that each stone carries not only weight, but purpose. And you think about how your own life is tied to this structure rising slowly from the earth. Chuck sits nearby, shaping his own block. He works faster than you, but less carefully. His forearms flex with each strike. You ever think about when it's done? He asks without looking up. You pause, wipe dust off your cheek. When what's done? He points with his chin upward, toward the towering, unfinished steps. The pyramid, the whole thing. What it'll look like when people climb it in the future. You shrug. I'll be old by then. Maybe dead. Chuck laughs softly. In that case, the gods better remember us. You return to carving. The scent of crushed limestone mixes with the smell of damp earth and faint with smoke drifting from the village. Workers shuffle around you. Some bring more obsidian tools. Others adjust the wooden ramps leading upward. Suddenly, the overseer gives a short whistle. Break. Everyone stops. You stretch your hands, rolling your wrists, trying to shake out the tightness. A woman walks by with baskets of food. Warm tamales wrapped in leaves. A few dried beans. A clay jug filled with slightly warmed cacao water. You and Chuck sit on the edge of a stone platform, eating quietly. Above you, the pyramid looms like an unfinished dream. Below you, the world stretches outward in shades of green and shadow, mist still lingering in the hollows of the forest canopy. The sun stands high in the sky, yet a cold breeze slips across the stone and crawls up your spine. It's strange, you say, rubbing your arms. The stone never warms. Chuck nods slowly. Maybe it isn't meant to. For a few breaths, neither of you speak. The silence settles softly between you, carried by the wind. But then the whistle echoes again. Break is over. You rise to your feet, dust off your hands, and return to the half-carved stone. The mallet fits into your palm like an old friend. The cold morning has passed, but its memory lingers in every gust of wind. And as you lift your arm and strike the chisel once more, you feel the pyramid grow. One stone, one breath, one cold day at a time. By mid-afternoon, the sun begins its slow drift toward the western hills, and with it comes the inevitable return of the chill. It never leaves for long, not here in the highlands. Warmth is a visitor, not a resident. It lingers briefly, then slips away without apology. You wipe sweat from your forehead, even though the air around you is cool enough to sting. Sweating in cold weather is its own kind of discomfort. Your back feels damp beneath your cloak. Your palms, raw from gripping rope and stone, burn against the dry air. The overseers switch positions, calling out instructions as shadows stretch across the terraced platforms. The pyramid looks different at this hour, taller, darker, more ancient, like a sleeping creature whose spine rises and steps toward the sky. You and your crew are assigned to the upper ramp this time. A long climb. You brace yourself for it. The path is narrow, packed with workers moving in lines, some carrying tools, some hauling smaller stones, some simply catching their breath before the next task. Cold wind rushes down the ramp, making your cloak snap behind you. You grip the rope railing and climb. Your legs burn. Your breath forms pale clouds that drift past your face as you ascend. When you reach the upper platform, the view nearly takes you by surprise. The forest spreads out like a living ocean, the tops of trees glowing gold beneath the late sun. Mist curls between valleys, swirling where the earth dips, and the distant mountains rise like guardians carved from shadow. You stand still for a moment. Cold wind brushes your cheeks. Your hair lifts lightly. You feel small, yes, but you also feel connected, woven into this land of stone, sky, and breath. The task on the upper platform is more delicate. You kneel beside a large decorative panel, still rough and unshaped. This stone won't be used as a step. It's a face stone, meant to be visible, meant to last. A priest approaches from behind, his steps soft against the stone. He's wrapped in layers of bright cloth, embroidered with symbols of the sky and cycles of the sun. His breath fogs the air just like yours, but his face shows no strain from the climb. Carve it with intention, he says quietly, not just strength. You nod. Your heart beats a little faster. The priest kneels beside you, tracing a line across the surface with a piece of charcoal. The gods do not need perfection, he continues, but they notice sincerity. You don't answer. You simply place your hand on the stone and feel its cold pulse. The wind sharpens. The shadow of the priest stretches long behind him, and you begin to carve, gently at first, then with more confidence. Tap, tap, tap. Each strike is slower, more deliberate. You're shaping not a block, but a symbol, one that will one day stare out across the world long after your bones are dust. The priest watches silently, the cold wind tugging at the edges of his cloak. When you finish a section of the outline, he nods once, solemnly. That is good, he says. Continue. Then he walks away, descending the ramp in a swirl of fabric and frost. You return to the carving, the stone dust gathering like pale snow around your knees. Your fingers ache, your breath trembles, but something inside you feels steady, anchored. Down below, the workers shift into new formations. Drums begin to sound from the village slow, rhythmic beats that echo between the trees, a signal that the day is entering its final phase. The sun dips lower, the cold deepens, and the pyramid stands tall above all of you, a monument to devotion and endurance, a silent witness to the lives spent shaping it. As you finish your section and rise to your feet, your joints crack softly. You lift your eyes to the horizon. Even through the cold, even through the ache, you feel it. A sense of purpose that warms you more than the sun ever could. By the time you descend from the upper platform, the sun has slipped behind the treetops, leaving only a fading band of copper light across the horizon. The cold settles, and almost instantly, pressing against your skin like a damp cloth pulled from a mountain stream, torches flare to life along the ramps and walkways. Their flames hiss and sputter in the biting wind, bending sideways as if trying to flee. Your legs feel heavy, but your mind is oddly clear, sharpened by the chill. The camp below is already stirring for the evening rituals. Workers gather near the fire pits, some rubbing their hands together, others wrapping themselves in thick woven cloaks. Smoke rises in thin columns that twist into the darkening sky. You pass by the stone-hauling crew as they finish tying down the last ropes for the night. Someone laughs softly. Someone groans and stretches. Someone sits with their head in their hands, breathing steam into their palms. The smell of maize soup drifts through the air. Your stomach tightens painfully. You didn't realize how hungry you were. As you make your way toward the main fire, you glance back at the pyramid. In torchlight, it looks alive. The steps glow warm orange, while the shadows between them deepen into blue-black voids. It rises above the treeline like a frozen wave, like something waiting to awaken under the moon. And tonight the moon is full. When it finally emerges above the mountains, the entire worksite seems to pause. The light is silver, pale, almost metallic. It spills across the stone, across the workers' faces, across the forest below. You tilt your head upward, letting the cold moonlight sink into your skin. There's a strange comfort in it, a reminder that the gods watch from above, steady and indifferent, but present. A fellow worker hands you a steaming bowl of soup. "Long day?" he asks, settling onto a stone beside you. You nod, wrapping your numb fingers around the warmth. "The cold helped," you say. "Made me feel awake." He chuckles. "It makes me feel like a frozen bone." You both eat in quiet companionship, staring at the massive silhouette rising before you. Drums echo faintly from the village again, slower now, heartbeat slow. Ritual music meant to guide the night into place. Around you, people talk in low voices, about home, about aches and bruises, about the tools they'll need to fix tomorrow. A few workers lean back on their packs, eyes half closed, letting the fire thaw their faces. Others sharpen tools, the metal scraping softly under the moon. And beyond the fires, just at the edge of the darkness, you can see the priests placing offerings at the base of the pyramid. Bundles of herbs, carved stones, small bowls of water that shimmer in the torchlight. The night is cold. Your breath floats away like a ghost. But the warmth of the fire and the rhythm of the drums settle your heart. Tomorrow, you'll carve again. Tomorrow, you'll climb again. Tomorrow, the cold will bite again. But for this moment, wrapped in firelight and moonlight, you feel still, balanced between exhaustion and pride, between earth and sky, between the endless labor and the quiet dignity of shaping something eternal. When the sun finally dips beneath the horizon, the cold slips and fast. You feel it wrapping around your shoulders before you even finish hauling the last stack of limestone chips away from the construction platform. The jungle hum softens, replaced by a sharper, almost metallic silence that only cold nights can make. Your fingers sting, your breath fogs. You rub your hands together, but the warmth leaves as quickly as it comes. You and the others descend the wooden ramps from the pyramid's rising flank, each step lit by torches that crackle and spit sap. The flames bend in the sharp breeze rolling down from the higher terraces. Even the torches feel colder tonight. When you reach the base, a few elders are setting out bowls of hot sake, maize drink thickened with cacao and spices. The steam hits your face like a blessing. You cradle the bowl with both hands, absorbing the heat through your palms before taking a sip. It spreads across your chest, slow and comforting, loosening the tension that's settled in your ribs throughout the day. The youngest workers cluster close, trying to steal warmth from one another, shoulders pressed tight. Nearby, priests begin arranging offerings for the night rituals. Obsidian flakes, copal resin, woven palm fronds tied in spirals representing stars, breath, and wind. You always admire how their hands remain steady despite the cold. Their movements are precise, delicate, even graceful. Tonight's ceremony honors the night deities, the ones who travel across the sky in silence, carrying time on their backs. When the drums start, low and steady, you feel the vibration before you hear it. It rolls through the ground, up your ankles, into your bones. Around you, the community gathers. Families wrapped in layered cotton mantles, elders with blankets draped over their shoulders, children hanging onto their parents' arms and pointing at the sky where the first stars appear. The cold pulls everyone closer together. It makes the whole settlement feel like a single creature breathing in unison. Then the moon rises, not warm, not gentle, but bright, sharp, almost icy in its clarity. It spills over the pyramid scaffolding, turning every surface silver. You watch how the fresh-cut stones catch that lunar glow, each block reflecting a cold sheen that makes the entire structure look like it's slowly awakening, stretching upward, hungry for completion. You think of tomorrow, another climb up the ramps, another day of stone, frost, breath, and endurance. But for now, wrapped in your mantle, surrounded by your people, warmed by the fire pits and the steady heartbeat of drum and chant, you allow yourself a moment of peace. Your muscles ache, but your spirit steadies. Tonight, you belong to the cold and the moonlight. The night settles slowly, like a great cloak being drawn across the sky. The cold deepens with it, slipping into every crack and crevice of the village. You can feel its sharpness on your skin the moment you step away from a fire pit near the worksite. It crawls along your arms and the back of your neck, stinging like fine needles. The day's labor has drained the heat from your body, and no amount of rubbing your hands together can bring it back. But the cold is not what people fear. The cold is merely a companion. It's the night that holds weight. The priests begin setting up the ritual space near the main fire pit, their shadows long and wavering in the torchlight. You hear the soft rustle of their robes, the faint clinking of jade beads tied to their belts, the subtle pop of resin as they toss a piece of copal into the flames. The scent rises immediately, thick and sweet, and you breathe it in deeply even before you reach the circle. It opens your lungs, warms your chest, softens the harshness of the icy air. A few children run past you, their laughter sharp in the silence, but they're quickly hushed by an elder. Tonight is not a night for noise. Tonight is a night for breath, memory, and reverence. As you take your place in the forming circle, you notice details you didn't earlier in the evening. The frost gathering at the edges of woven mats, the tiny beads of condensation forming on the clay bowls left too close to the cold ground, the faint shimmer of moonlight against the half-built pyramid behind you. The structure seems taller at night, sharper, almost alive. The shadows between its layers are deep enough to look like gateways. Some workers still whisper about the spirits that patrol its stairs after dark, watching over those who build it. You don't know if that's true, but you hope it is. A senior priest steps to the center of the circle, his hair bound with strands of woven fiber dyed in shades of blue and black. His breath fogs in front of him as he lifts the obsidian bowl filled with smoldering copal. The smoke rolls outward in thick waves, curling around your face and clothes, leaving a sticky sweetness in the air. It clings to your fingers when you inhale, grounding you. Tonight, he says, voice low but firm, we remember the breath that began the world. The circle quiets completely. Even the fire seems to soften its crackling. He raises the bowl higher, tilting it slowly. Ash and smoke spill out, drifting between the gathered bodies like wandering spirits. You watch the tendrils of gray slip past your face and rise toward the stars. For a moment they seem to merge with the sky itself, becoming one with the shimmering constellations. Nearby, the apprentice priest unfolds a large woven mat covered in embroidered symbols, spirals that represent the journey inward, step patterns that symbolize ascension, stars for divine guidance, waves for the flow of time. You've seen mats like this before, but tonight it feels heavier, as if the symbols themselves hum with a kind of quiet life. The apprentice moves from person to person, letting each of you study the symbols closely. When he reaches you, he kneels in the firelight, turning the mat so the designs face you fully. You lean in, the cold forgotten for a moment. Your eyes linger on a spiral pattern near the center. Its shape draws you in, reminding you of the winding interior paths of your own thoughts. You think about your days, the heavy lifting, the strain, the cold mornings, the endless climb up the ramps. You also think about the small things, shared meals, laughter that breaks unexpectedly between long stretches of labor, the weight of stone on your palms, the ache that settles in your shoulders at night, the strange sense of belonging that grows a little stronger each time your hands shape a block that becomes part of something bigger. You wonder if that spiral represents you, your path, your days. The apprentice moves on, and you join the others as the chanting begins. It starts with a handful of voices, almost too soft to hear, a humming, barely more than breath. Then more voices join, then more. Soon the entire circle is vibrating with sound, low, rhythmic, ancient. You feel the chant before you fully hear it. It presses gently into your chest, wraps around your ribs, settles deep in your stomach. Your voice joins the others automatically, your breath syncing with theirs. The cold recedes a little, not gone, but no longer sharp, muted by something older and warmer. As the chant rises in volume, the fire responds, flames stretching taller, brighter, shedding warmth that ripples across the circle. The shadows dance across your face and the faces of those around you. You catch the glint of reflected firelight in the eyes of the priests. You see small smiles forming at the edges of people's mouths, fragile but real. When the chant reaches its height, the senior priest pushes his staff into the earth. The sound echoes like a crack of wood. The flames snap upward in a sudden burst, showering sparks into the night. You instinctively step back, feeling the heat rush over your cheeks. The moonlight meets the firelight, creating a strange, beautiful blend of gold and silver across the faces around you. This fire, the priest says, is the memory of those who walk with us unseen. The circle bows. Some people whisper the names of lost relatives. Others keep their silence, letting the moment speak for them. You bow your head too, not because you must, but because you want to. You feel the presence of something behind you. Not a person, not a sound, but a warmth that doesn't belong to the fire. As though ancestors stand close enough to share their breath with yours, steadying your lungs, calming your heart. When the ritual ends, no one rushes to leave. People linger, warming their hands, sharing quiet stories. The cold returns slowly, but it no longer bites. You feel settled, grounded, connected. The pyramid looms behind you, but it doesn't feel intimidating. It feels like home. You breathe deeply, letting the icy air fill your lungs. Tomorrow you'll climb again. Tomorrow your hands will ache again. But tonight, you stand between fire and moonlight, between earth and sky, between ancestors and descendants. And for a moment, everything aligns. The night is long when the cold settles deep. You feel that every time you shift in the darkness of your shelter, each movement making the woven fiber beneath you rustle in a stiff, frosted whisper. Sleep doesn't come easily on nights like these. The air steals warmth faster than your body can make it. You pull your mantle tighter around your shoulders, tucking your feet into the fold, trying to trap what little heat remains from the dying embers in the clay hearth. You hear the wind outside long before you open your eyes. It slithers between the walls, low and steady, carrying faint scents of distant fires, cold soil, and the damp breath of the forest. It almost sounds like a voice, A long exhale drifting between the huts, slipping over the half-built pyramids, settling into the cracks of the world. When dawn finally decides to arrive, it doesn't burst in with brilliance. It creeps. The first sign of it is the soft thump of feet outside, workers waking, stretching, preparing for another day. Then the crisp snap of sticks being arranged in the fire pits. You hear someone sneeze, then someone cough. The village slowly rises with these small noises, like a great creature waking limb by limb. You open your eyes. Your breath creates a tiny cloud in the cold air above you. You watch it drift and fade. You sit up slowly, feeling the stiffness in your joints from yesterday's labor. Your arms ache. Your back aches. Even your fingers carry a dull, sore throb. But none of it surprises you. Pain is part of the rhythm now. A quiet companion that walks beside you every morning. You step outside. The world is silver. Not gold, not blue, just silver. The sky is a pale sheet of early light, stretching thinly across the horizon. The earth is muted, washed clean of color by the cold. You can see your breath clearly now, a white ribbon floating away from your lips. Nearby, a group of workers crouches around a freshly lit fire pit. Their faces glow softly in the flickering light as they sip warm sake, steam rising from their bowls. They greet you with faint nods, weary but warm. You return the gesture. A pair of elders sit wrapped in thick mantles, rubbing their hands together above a clay pot. They watch the younger workers move with quiet pride, murmuring to each other about how the upcoming moon cycle will affect work, seasons, and ceremonies. A few children chase each other between the huts, their laughter light and sharp in the cold morning air. You let yourself absorb all of it, the voices, the smoke, the breath of the village as it wakes. Then you turn toward the pyramid. Even in the dim morning, it demands attention. The half-constructed shape rises from the earth with solemn strength. Its upper tiers, still wrapped in scaffolding. Frost glitters along the wooden ramps, each beam outlined in a delicate shimmering film that looks almost magical. The first rays of sunlight catch the stone blocks, turning them from silver to a faint, fragile gold. It steals your breath every morning. You walk toward the gathering point where ropes, chisels, and sledges are stored. The tools are cold to the touch when you pick them up, the chill slipping into your palms instantly. Workers around you check their harnesses, tying knots with practiced hands. No one speaks much. Words feel too heavy this early. Everyone saves their breath, their strength, their warmth. When the sun finally pulls itself over the horizon, it washes the world in a pale amber glow. The village shifts slightly, almost as if sighing. People straighten. Shoulders relax. Even the air feels less sharp. You take your place at the base of the ramp. Your muscles remember the movement before your mind even thinks about it. Lifting, bracing, leaning, climbing. The first few steps always feel the heaviest. The rope digs into your palms. Your legs protest with a dull burn. You breathe through it, letting the rhythm settle naturally. One worker beside you mutters a quiet joke under his breath. Another bumps your shoulder gently. A silent, "We've got this." Halfway up the ramp, you pause. You turn around. Below you, the world opens. The village looks like a cluster of small glowing embers, fire pits flickering between shadowy huts. The forest stretches endlessly, a rolling sea of dark green and soft mist. The river glimmers faintly in the distance, catching the new light of morning like a blade's edge. And above all, the sky widens, shifting from silver to soft blue, streaked with thin, delicate clouds. You inhale deeply. The air is cold but clean, sharp but alive. Then you turn back toward the ascent and continue. Stone by stone, block by block, breath by breath, the pyramid rises with you. Every pull of the rope, every carved edge, every strained muscle becomes part of its future. You're reminded of what the elders say. To build is to live many lives at once. Your hands shape today. Your breath shapes tomorrow. By the time you reach the top platform, the sun is stronger, warming your shoulders just enough to make you forget the morning frost. Workers move around you, their movements efficient and practiced. The foreman calls instructions. Chisels ring against stone. Dust rises, catching sunlight like tiny stars suspended in the air. You step into your position, grip the rope, and prepare for the next haul. And in that moment, you understand something quietly powerful. This life, this cold, demanding, relentless life, isn't just labor. It's legacy. It's continuity. It's the breath of your ancestors carried forward through your hands. You lift the rope. The day begins, and the pyramid grows. The sun climbs higher through the pale morning sky, burning away the last traces of frost that clung stubbornly to the ramps and tools. By mid-morning, your body is fully awake. The ache settles into a steady thrum, not sharp anymore, just a heavy reminder of everything that came before this moment. Workers gather around the newest block that must be raised. It's massive, wider than two men standing shoulder to shoulder, cut smooth, but still bearing faint scars from the quarry's chisels. Its weight is impossible to guess. Too much for thought. You all know it simply as the next one, because naming the stones almost makes them heavier. Your foreman raises his hand. Everyone grows quiet. Breath steady, he says. Feet firm. No pushing ahead, no falling behind. His voice holds a familiar calm, a tone carved from years of command. The signal comes. You lean your entire weight into the rope. The fibers bite harshly into your palms. The stone groans against the wooden sled, scraping across the compacted earth. The ramp trembles under the strain. The men around you grunt, strain, curse under their breath, teeth clenched tight. Sweat starts to run down your spine, even though the air is still cool. The stone doesn't move fast, but it moves, and that's what matters. Halfway up the ramp, the pull becomes brutal. Your shoulders burn. Your breath stutters. Your arms begin to shake. Someone behind you slips for a moment, boots skidding on a wooden plank, and a ripple of imbalance darts through the group like a startled animal. But no one falls. No one breaks the line. A chant begins somewhere in the ranks, a rhythm to stabilize the collective effort, a low hum, growing louder, sinking breath and force into a single push. You join it, letting the sound merge with the thud of your heartbeat. Step by step, the block rises. When you finally reach the top tier, the sunlight catches the sweat on your skin, turning it into tiny beads of gold. The stone is maneuvered into place with long wooden bars, pressed and aligned until the foreman nods with rare approval. Workers collapse onto their haunches. Some laugh breathlessly. Some just stare at their trembling hands. You inhale deeply, letting the moment settle. This stone will stay here long after you are gone. It feels like placing a piece of your own life into the structure. By midday, the village priests arrive to bless the newly positioned stones. They wear long feathered mantles that sway in the warm breeze, bright colors shimmering against the pale stone. The drums begin slowly, resonating through the terraces. Priests chant verses older than the oldest elder, invoking the breath of the earth, the strength of the sky, and the cycles of maize and sun. You kneel with the others, resting your hands on your thighs. The air smells of burning copal. Its rich, resinous scent fills every corner of the worksite. Thin threads of smoke rise into the sky, curling like fingers seeking the sun. The lead priest approaches the stone you helped lift. He lays his palm on its surface, whispering blessings meant to bind the structure to time, spirit, and purpose. He speaks of journeys, generations, memory, of the mountain's heart and the river's endurance. For a moment, the world goes quiet. Even the wind seems to pause, listening. Workers lower their heads. The priests begin a slow circular walk around the pyramid's upper platform, shaking rattles made of gourds and shells. The sound mixes with the chants, creating an otherworldly rhythm that reverberates in your chest. You feel a strange duality. Your body is exhausted, but your spirit feels lighter. Your muscles tremble, but your mind feels rooted. The ceremony ends with a single sharp drumbeat. Then the priests descend a ramp, feathers swaying, as silently as they came. The moment lingers, even after they vanish into the forest edge. One worker beside you murmurs, "We carry stones with our backs. They carry time with their words." You nod. Everyone rises. Work resumes. The sun is high. The day is far from done to be late afternoon. Shadows stretch like long fingers across the terraces. The heat hasn't been strong enough to exhaust you fully, but the steady work has worn your strength down until your limbs feel thick and heavy, like wet cloth wrapped around bone. You take a brief break near the water jars stored under a shaded awning. The cool liquid slides down your throat like a blessing. A fellow worker hands you a small handful of toasted maize kernels. You thank him with a tired smile. Voices drift around you. Some talk about the stone placement. Some whisper about omens seen in the morning clouds. Some argue cheerfully about which family makes the best tamales. Others simply sit in silence, staring at the horizon. You glance toward the jungle. The treetops sway gently. Birds call out in slow, evening patterns. Somewhere deeper, monkeys howl, their distant cries echoing through the canopy. You sense the nearing of dusk, not just as light fading, but as breath easing. A time when the world's edges soften, when everything becomes a little more forgiving. Work continues on the east side of the platform. You join the group carving smaller stones, smoothing edges for tomorrow's placement. Chisels strike rhythmically, scattering glittering chips that catch the low sun like tiny stars. You lose yourself in the pattern. Lift, strike, turn the stone, lift again. Every action becomes a kind of meditation, a quiet thinking without words. When the foreman finally signals the day's end, the group exhales as one, a wave of weary relief rolling through everyone. The sun dips behind the trees. The world shifts from gold to amber, then to violet. You gather your tools, sling them over your shoulder, and begin the descent down the long ramp toward the village. Your legs wobble slightly, but you keep your balance, feeling the day peel away from your body with each step. The village welcomes you with warm firelight and the comforting aroma of cooking. Clay pots bubble with maize, beans, and squash. Smoke curls lazily from hearths. Children run between huts, chasing each other with wooden toys. You sit beside your usual fire circle with a few of the workers. Some hand you a warm bowl. The heat seeps into your fingers, soothing the cold that has settled deep into your bones. Conversation rises and falls around you. One man speaks proudly of how his son learned to knap his first obsidian blade today. Another worries about signs of early rain. Someone at the back of the circle hums a soft tune, an old lullaby, familiar enough to warm your chest. A woman carrying a basket of herbs tends to a man with a twisted ankle. She wraps his leg expertly, murmuring instructions. You take a slow bite of your food. The flavors are simple, earthy, grounding. Everything tastes better after a day spent shaping the world. Above you, the sky unfurls like a great velvet cloth. Stars prick through the darkness one by one, then all at once, until the heavens glitter with impossible beauty. The Milky Way stretches overhead, a white river of light flowing across the night. Someone points upward. They say the stones remember the stars, he whispers. You smile. You think about the stone you lifted today, about the blessing laid upon it, about the sweat soaking through your mantle, the chants vibrating through the foundation, the shared breath, the shared weight. The fire crackles softly. You lean back, letting the warmth soak into your tired muscles. A quiet peace settles over you, the kind that only comes when a day has been spent fully, openly, purposefully. Tomorrow will be another day of labor, another day of aching hands, another day of rising before the sun. But for now, there's fire, there's food, there's community, there's the endless sky above you, and that is enough. Long after the fires burn low, long after your bones ache from 1,000 days of lifting, carving, hauling, and shaping, long after your hair turns the color of morning ash, the pyramid will still rise above the earth. You will walk past it one day as an elder, your steps slower, your breath deeper. Children will run past you, laughing, unaware of the countless lives poured into every stone. You will place your hand upon its surface. Feel its cool, quiet presence. Feel the memory held within the mountain-cut stone. You might whisper, I remember when this was only earth. And the pyramid will answer, not with sound, but with solidity, with endurance, with the silent truth that what you built with your hands, your sweat, your breath, has become part of something far greater than the sum of your days. Generations will come. They will climb its steps. They will pray here. They will read the sky from its summit. They will look out over the land and understand their place within it. And though they will never know your name, they will know your work, your strength, your days, your nights, your songs, your exhaustion, your hope. The pyramid stands because you stood. The stone endures because you endured. And in that truth, you become part of the land itself. Not a legend, not a hero, but a foundation. Just like the stones you raised, you become something meant to last.